Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1400.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about two key inflation reports that come out this week. But first, I just have to say, this is a personal milestone today, reaching 1,400 podcasts. So thank you to my existing listeners and new listeners. I'm so grateful, and it's my pleasure to provide financial information to you 3 times a week. So the U.S. stock market jumped over 600 points on Monday, recovering a lot of last week's losses. And the market is looking for 2 key inflation reports this week that are going to give the Fed a lot more data for the possible rate cut decision on September 18th. The Dow Jones Industrial Average this morning was up 1.5%, and the S&P gained 1.2%, while the Nasdaq climbed over 1%. After being very oversold last week, the markets rebounded sharply. But all eyes are really on what the Fed is going to do at their September 18th meeting. Investors are waiting for 2 key inflation reports that could further inform the Federal Reserve's decision. It's August Consumer Price Report and the Producer Price Report, which are going to be released Wednesday and Thursday this week. The market is now pricing in a 71% chance that the Fed would cut rates by 0.25% at its meeting September 18th, and a 29% chance of a 0.5% interest rate cut, according to CME Group FedWatch tool. Last week's declines were really perpetrated by the August jobs report, which stoked fears of a slowing labor market, and Friday's non-farm payroll reports that showed payrolls were increasing at a slower than expected pace. Meanwhile, unemployment ticked to 4.2%, which met the consensus forecast. Deutsche Bank strategist Henry Allen said there's speculation mounting that the Federal Reserve might deliver a 0.5-point reduction at the conclusion of its 2-day policy meeting on September 18th. He said globally, other central banks have only delivered 0.25% move for the most part, so there doesn't appear to be widespread alarm at the current state of the economy. The fact that others, like the European Central Bank, have only moved in 0.25% increment suggests they're not viewing this as a situation that requires a rapid readjustment for now. Seema Shah, chief global strategist at Principal Asset Management, said, for the Fed, the decision comes down to deciding which is the bigger risk, reigniting inflation pressures if they cut by 0.5%, or threatening recession if they only cut by 0.25%. On balance, with inflation pressures subdued, there is no reason for the Fed not to err on the side of caution and front-load rate cuts. So it sounds like she's in favor of a 0.5% rate cut. And to me, it looks like either is quite possible right now. The data is providing enough room for the Fed to make a 0.5% rate cut if they want to. And we know from Chairman Powell at the Jackson Hole, Wyoming meeting, from his comments there, he said the time has come to adjust policy. Although he didn't provide any specifics about what that meant, but it looks like back then, even in August, they were seeing the data was slowing and giving them room and ammunition for their rate-cutting cycle to begin. And then in a speech Friday morning, New York Fed President John Williams endorsed rate cuts. So they're definitely on board with a rate cut. The question just is it 0.25% or is it a 0.5%? And I can see arguments for both. So these 2 reports this week are extremely important to help the Fed make the right decision of whether it's going to be 0.25% or a 0.5%. And we'll stay tuned to be reporting back to you as we learn what that data shows us. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available. And all of my podcasts are on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly newsletter for more wealth tips for your financial freedom. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.